Anybody recognize this dust rag? That's President Nixon, one of the worst presidents we ever had. Now you can pause to read, but basically it says that Nixon knew all along that wage and price controls were a terrible economic idea, but he recognized that he needed something to distract from other bad headlines during his 1972 campaign, and so he enacted them. Most damning, it says Nixon understood the impact of his wage and price controls, but chose to trade off longer-term economic costs to the economy for his own short-term political gain. This move, of course, infamously led to the 1970s gas shortages, which is an obvious ramification of price controls. When you limit the price of something and demand stays the same, there will obviously be a shortage. That is basic econ 101, law of supply and demand. You don't have to like it, but it's like gravity. You're going to fall on your face if you don't accept its reality. Thomas Sowell, who's a much better economist than Nixon, said that although the best response would have been to let prices rise, giving oil companies an incentive to produce more and consumers an incentive to conserve, this basic level of economics is seldom understood by the public, which often demands political solutions that turn out to make matters worse. So true. And all of this now brings us to modern times where this senator, Mr. Bernie Sanders, is currently trying to push through healthcare provisions in the massive budget reconciliation package that essentially would put price caps on pharmaceuticals. This is obviously a very bad idea, and Bernie Sanders is old enough that he should remember the last time price caps failed. He's so old, there is no excuse that he doesn't know that. As a whole, if this goes through, we're likely going to see the same thing happen with pharmaceuticals as we've seen in other industries in the past. There will likely be shortages, and even worse, there's a really good chance it will lead to a decrease in innovation and new drugs coming to market. The Congressional Budget Office, which is a nonpartisan entity, has already reported as much multiple times during the considerations of this bill. Nobody here is arguing that we don't need to take a sledgehammer to our healthcare industry. It's been overrun with cronyism for over a century. There's nothing capitalist or free market about it, and it's disgusting. But moving in a direction where government gets even more control of it will only add to the problems and compound what's been happening over the past century. It would be doing effectively what Thomas Sowell said, which is crying out for public policies that are ultimately only going to make the situation worse. So, I'm against this bill. I think you should be too. Raise your voice. Oh yeah, and go to my website, hannahdecox.com, if you want to read more on this issue.